Hello, world, and welcome to Creating Light with Kelsey. It's been a minute. It's been a couple months. If you are a chronological listener, where we left off last time, not that I mean for these episodes to be episodic, but they kind of end up being like that. But we here, we're gonna roll with it. Anyway, where we left off last time in the life that is Kelsey and the lessons that I'm here to serve, deliver, give, you're welcome. And thank you to myself, I guess, is understanding where anger was still very much in my body and stagnating myself and reaching this like last point like of evolution because I had been working and healing certain trauma from the last couple years and a lot was changing and I fully believe the whole energy before matter. So there was a lot in my internal world that needed to shift and transmute before it could be something else in my outer world to show up in my outer world. And my outer world was shifting, like everything was changing, and just that last 10% that I was calling it was my physical environment for that phase. And that's what I was getting so pissed about. I was like, why the fuck am I not somewhere else yet? Why am I still here? And then yeah, the whole cliche of once you accept where you are instead of resisting the thing that you want comes to you. But yeah, I'm here. I'm in the condo. If you're on YouTube, you can see I've been here for about 2 months. And let me tell you, let me tell you, when you have been working for something for years and it's a very big part of your healing journey, and then you're existing in this now dream reality of existing in the thing that you actually worked for. Like, what? That hits different because I had just been in this state of working for something, doing things, working on myself to achieve freedom, to achieve a certain caliber of living. It was always that type of forward motion and in that keep going because it's going to get better. It's and having that mindset and that faith and keeping the faith in that way because it's like it was slowly chipping away because like I told you things were changing, but it's before I got to that point, like I was very much in suffering. So that was like the driving point of like heal, work on this, face yourself, feel this, do this, da 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 da, all these things to no longer be here because I'm no longer available for suffering. Life gets to be better. Life gets to be there's still going to be trials, but like I don't have to be suffering anymore. I get to be free. I get to be living a life that I've created that I actually want for myself. That was this whole driving force for like 3 years, 3.5 years. And then now I'm actually living in it. That hits different. I've never been here before. I've never been in this level of existing before. And I it's an adjustment. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's an adjustment. I haven't really known what to do because I've been somewhere I've never been. And it's a whole other state too of realizing I am at a different caliber because it's one thing to work so hard for what you want and being in that energy. Then there's the other energy of, okay, now you did it. Now you have to maintain it. Like you've arrived, now you have to maintain it. That that's different. That's a different character development. That's different qualities, that's different habits, that's different relationships, that's different earnings, that's different like everything is different to be able to maintain it versus working for something. It's such a internal shift that I didn't really put together until my ass was sitting in this condo is like, I mean, part of that driving force to get out of a spot that you no longer want to be in and clearing certain trauma that you no longer want to be ruled by is a part of survival mode. And I didn't realize that until I was in this condo. It's like, okay, we don't have to do that anymore. We don't have to work in that way anymore. That doesn't have to be the driving force anymore. Like, because you did it. Like it did need to happen in that way and how you faced yourself, but now it's different. Mhm. Ooh, because you are free. Well, now I'm emotional. Oh my gosh. Let me just like, let's all breathe that in. 'Cause the way that you face and feel to heal doesn't have to be in the way of survival anymore because now you are free. And now it just keeps, which that, I mean, that's the point. That's the goal. I mean, hello. It's my fucking slogan. The key to freedom is feeling. And the soul liberation, like we do this work to liberate ourselves from the inside out. And now it's about maintaining freedom. What do you do now when you get it? How do you exist? How do things shift and change? And I don't really know what's next. I feel like I'm very much in a bubble right now with the condo of basking in this moment because I'm only here for 8 months, 2 months in, so 6 more months. I mean, I do kind of know what's next after that. I've got physical plans, but as far as energetic and healing plan, I don't fucking know. I don't know. And what's wild is feedback that I've gotten from people that I've just met up with or have wanted to schedule meetings or have come to classes or given feedback or just witnessing me, or people that will reach out to me because they're intimidated by my classes and by my work and they think that they can't do it. And they're like, well, the feedback that I get from all those realms is like, well, I'm just not as free as you, or you're just so free. One to the comment of I'm not as free as you, and then therefore, if you're feeling intimidated by my work, that's the point. That's the point because something in you is getting activated by witnessing me or by receiving my teachings or observing whatever my content. If you're feeling intimidated by that, that's speaking to you. That is something is igniting within you for a reason of saying like it's showing you where you're not free, and then it's also showing you that it's possible to be free. Internal freedom, soul liberation, like it is literally possible. And then the feedback to the people are like, you're just so free. Yeah, I've devoted my life to this. And now I've arrived in this phase of existing in liberation. Like this is the encapsulation of it. And what's so, all right, here we go. Let's fucking go. The mind, when I've arrived into this condo, and it's been 2 months or whatever since I've been on the podcast and I kind of took a break from Instagram too. I still have been doing my life once a week free somatic virtual class. So you need to come to that still if you haven't. But I've been taking a pause because even though I've arrived here and in this new state of existing, the mind, the mind has been really trying to play tricks and trying to slip into old patterns and like pull me back down. And it's me against me. And that's also the fuckery is now literally nothing is here, nothing is in my way. It is me against me. Because before there could be all these things of like, well, I'm escaping trauma. I'm getting free from this person, this situation, this house, these financial like entanglements, these certain commitments, unhealthy jobs, like all of it just being such a mirror of the trauma that was needing looked at within. Now it's just in the nuance of like, oh, that's still a version of you, but like now that's literally nothing else is in my way but me. And am I going to maintain it or slip back to old patterns? And I've been in this condo and like experiencing the functional free state trying to come back into play and not really doing anything and trying to stagnate because I don't know how to exist in this new reality. Because and that's what just universe got jokes. Like I talk about so much of creating your new reality or creating a reality, what the fuck ever. I'm like, yes, I'm here, I'm in it, I'm striving, blah blah blah. And then now I'm in this new reality I've created and I don't know what to do. But I do in a way, but like you know what I mean. So what I'm trying to get at is it's not as easeful as I thought it was going to be. And it's not as easeful because I have said yes to a whole new layer of responsibility. Because really before, like, I mean, I've showed up for people and have been of service, and that's really have has been my way of work ever since I could work. But that this deep healing was really has really been for me and what I have needed. And this shift now, it's like, okay, you did it. Liberation is fully here. Now it's time to deliver it to others. And the only way it will reach that potential and for creating light to reach that potential is for you to maintain this level of existing that you worked your fucking ass off to get here. I have reached a state that I of realization that I have no room for bullshit. And that's this current phase of existing, this current phase of life that I intentionally built to push myself into that level of expansion. Is there's no more room for bullshit. There's no other option but to hold this responsibility that I built the strength and foundation to fucking hold. Nothing is in my way because I already cleared the path. I worked years and years to clear the path and to clear the obstacles to be here and to maintain it. Like it's just me and me. So what am I going to do now? And how to keep showing up and to allow creating light to grow and to be seen and deliver my guidance because this isn't just for me, this level of liberation and freeing myself from the depths of my despair and that trauma and just a whole generation of existing in a certain way um that has the majority of the collective in shackles still like that doesn't have to be like that anymore. But yeah, I've learned to hold myself in this way and it's now the time to hold others in the same way. So the again this caliber of existing has upgraded and so the way that I would see people and help people has upgraded. It's kind of like been this whole thing of yeah, you've had a lot of yeah, you've had a lot of practice of learning how to hold space and guide people and being in the therapy field and realm like that has served you well, but now the responsibility is higher. And I tried to run away from that. I tried to run away from that last year, and I that's kind of that's what I've been realizing and integrating the last 6 months or something like that was around this time last year as I was running away from that level of responsibility. I tried to completely stripped myself of all credentials. I quit my job. That I mean that had other layers to it, but I let go of all of my clients because it was a whole restructuring and rebirthing of the way that you were working has served you to this point, and it now all needs to crumble because you're asked to do more, because you've reached this this place of your own healing, um, and how you worked matched that, and but now that no longer exists. So let it all go and let it rebuild. That's where I've been at. Anyway, I'm rambling. Let me get back to the point and the topic of maintaining the change that you desired, because I did not realize that that would be a rude awakening for me of just because you arrive to this reality that you've been creating for years doesn't mean that life is now just so simple and smooth sailing. Like it requires you to show the fuck up. And when I first came in here, I first moved in, I was starting to feel quite frozen and paralyzed and noticed old habits trying to slip back in of maladaptive coping mechanisms, and this like such profound wave of grief was trying to come through that I was avoiding for a minute because the old way of existing is no longer here. That timeline is no longer here. So of course there's going to be grief of like you've actually landed on this timeline that you've worked so hard to get to, and I definitely I underestimated the fact that it's not just going to be excitement, that grief is also going to be here, and there's going to be challenges and old ways and patterns that are going to be trying like pushing their way through. And it's like, I'm sorry and I love you, but there's no more room for you anymore here. We have to do something different. There's no more room for bullshit. What I didn't expect was massive, and I'm saying like old ways of existing and stuff trying to come through. I'm not just talking about cute little things of, oh, my sleeping schedule's a little messed up, I'm staying up a little too late and I'm sleeping in a little too much, or I'm not as efficient in the way that I work, and my time management of now this job and with creating light and rebuilding creating light to no longer have that job. But it's like, listen, not just that, I was having massive waves of craving substances. And I hadn't experienced that since I decided to go sober on my quote unquote sober curious journey. I don't know why I always feel like I need to explain that of like, I'm sober because I wanted to be, or I'm sober because of this sober curious journey, not because I'm an addict, as if there's something within me not wanting to identify with that. Because we're all addicts in some way. So, like, let's get off our high horse there. But massive waves of wanting to drink and smoke, mainly drink, because it was like coming back. I was avoiding this grief that was trying to come through by being in this condo now, so much so that that's when the waves of cravings was coming back. So that old way of existing, of old protectors, of major pain, major pain is trying to come through right now, and we want to protect you from feeling that pain or for feeling this type of pain. So let's make you think that if we drink, then that will like help us get to where we need to go. And that will, in some weird, twisted way, have us sink to the depths and the pit of our grief since we're having so much trouble with it. And then it will be okay and fine. No, that will actually activate a whole other realm of shadows for no reason at all, of feeling shame and then just like disgust of, because I would have been hungover as fuck because I haven't drank in like 2.5 years. It would have like completely derailed me, but I was really fighting some demons there of we were literally chit-chatting back and forth of them selling me their point of why this is a good idea and why it just needs to happen and why I need to just let myself drink because I needed it. And like let's just indulge even the fuckery of like let's just indulge in the shadow. Like we need to do that every now and then. Let's feed the shadow. Let's let it come out and do its thing because that's part of like accepting it, right? They're sneaky. They're sneaky. They are charismatic. Like they almost swindled me. I was like, I hear you. You make a very convincing argument, but I gotta remind you, babe, that that is actually going to push us further away from feeling what we need to feel. And so whatever's in the way, because then when I would try to sit and access the grief, I couldn't. And then I had to have a conversation with a different protector and be like, okay, something's going on. Like we are getting to the point now that this is going to start causing harm if I do not feel this versus the pain that I would feel while feeling it. That this is just going to grow. It's not going to be temporary, but the feeling itself is temporary if we just allow ourselves to feel it. So please step aside. I got this. Thank you for protecting me, but now it's starting to hurt and it's starting to kick. It's starting to kick the cravings of wanting to drink, and we're like opening doors down spiraling paths that were no longer available for. And oh boy, did they step aside because then grief hit me like a fucking brick and still is. Like I'm still very much feeling big waves of grief. And I'm in a weird dance of avoiding it, feeling it, avoiding it, feeling it. And I know when I'm just in this constant dance with self and the feelings again, with that layer of grief, then it's like I'm in the energy of maintaining this. Because right now, like as when I wasn't doing that, I could see this slipping away. I could see this reality slipping away from me and this level of liberation just deteriorating before my fucking eyes. And it's like, girl, you did not work your ass off to get here and not maintain it. So this grief needs your love and attention. As I've been feeling this grief, different layers, level, whatever. I keep saying the same words, I feel like in this episode, but I'm a little rusty on speaking, so we're just gonna roll with it. It's been a minute. Anyway, clarity came in of how to maintain it, different habits to start to implement, different ways of working, engaging, where to work, times, all of that as far as like scheduling goes, updating my website, networking, though that information has started to file in as I've let myself feel the grief from the past. Because it's this grief is different from the other types of grief that I felt when on this lovely healing journey, because a lot of the grief from before was the grief of who the person was that was living in trauma, and then the grief and the sorrow of like, I'm sorry you had to live through that and experience that, or what you didn't get to experience because you were in that. And now this is grieving. Ugh, this is now grieving the person that put in the work, that sacrificed a lot, that became devoted to understanding and learning to dance with her darkness. It's like grieving that version of self and putting that to rest in a way of like you did it. You made it. You can rest now. And there's definitely parts of her, me, all in the same. I don't quite believe that. It's like, oh, we can rest. We made it. Like we made it to this level of freedom. It was real. I think that's the big one of like, oh shit, it's real. Because there's so many times when I was just in the depths of I didn't know. I didn't know if this level of freedom was real, but I had to trust because there was no other option. Because if we're gonna get frank about that, was if I didn't believe that it was real or choose to just keep going no matter what, the only other option was to continue to exist in suffering and trauma and then probably end up killing myself. Like that's how drastic it was in what I was existing in like 4 years ago. So that phase of when I was no longer in trauma and then working to be here now to clear the way to exist in this timeline, that's the person that I'm grieving. And like, because it's this constant on the healing journey of bringing past versions of self up to speed. Because like before, it was bringing the past version of self up to speed and they're like, hey, we're no longer in trauma. And then now it's like, it is that, hey, we made it. You can rest a little bit. There's a different level of work now. There's different movement, different momentum, but the work that you put in has paid off and you can breathe. You can take a breather. And that's why now there it is a whole new caliber of guiding people. Because it's like all of that from the last 4 years, 4.5 years. What is time? The last 4.5 years is how I've been built as a human and as a practitioner and to show to be a literal living example of that freedom is possible. Liberation is here and it wants you just as much as you want it. And I am like fully on the other side of it because that's why I was getting so pissed from months ago. It's like I've worked so hard, I'm almost fucking there. This is last 10% of this specific living environment. It's like I didn't work so hard to just stop when I was 90% of the way there. And then now I'm 100% of the way there. So it's like that's now a little bit like that's cute. You gonna keep it? You gonna maintain it? Because that's gonna ask of different things of you, babe. But my guidance here now is to lead others in that way. It's like I was fucking there and I've made this path and guidelines and protocols and just these ways of knowing of how to guide people through that and healing themselves, healing their trauma, freeing themselves from that all. And like just now when I was crying of like you made it, I had a flash of like that keeps being the thing of different versions of Kelsey of when I tell myself that I've made it. Because two or 3 years ago, when I was fucking recording a podcast episode, of course, and sharing my story, that was when it was more of the trauma story than the healing story. But I was telling myself, like, you made it. And that was when the version of self of like you made it out of the trauma. And now this time when I'm saying you made it is like you made it through the healing and you've embodied liberation. Like you made it. So that different layers there. Because the few years ago when I was telling past me of like you're gonna make it, because I was like talking to myself of you're about to enter a very dark time and you're gonna be there a while. You're gonna be in a lot of pain, but you're going to survive. You're going to get out of it. You're going to be safe. Like you made it. And I guess now that was me for me when I was entering trauma, and now me for me when I was exiting trauma, and now I'm entering this different layer of liberation. It's like, yeah, you made it. You worked really hard. You kept facing yourself. You kept feeling your darkness. You kept coming back to compassion. You kept coming back to accountability, and you made it. That density doesn't exist in your body. It's not stuck in your body. You've gained a relationship with it. So it doesn't rule you. You are free from that. And you now get to live a life that your soul came here to live. You are living in the life that your soul came here to live. You are embodying it. Like, oh my God. I don't know what else to say to you all other than that freedom is possible. And that's my fucking mission to tell the world. Freedom is possible. And I've got so many ways to help you on the path of liberation. The free weekly somatic classes, I fucking love those. Whoever shows up, I'm gaining a relationship with those people that show up, and then we just chat afterwards and we're holding each other in space and we're witnessing each other. Um, and then every free class that I host, I keep the recordings and then I file it in the client portal. So for whoever wants to catch the replays and have the replays for on a monthly basis and they cycle through, or for a subscription or for lifetime, those are options. So if you can't ever make the live, or you do make the lives, but you're also wanting access to replays to build your own liberation practice, those are options. And that's a great starting point if you're like, I don't even know what to do with myself. I don't know what to do with my body. I am afraid to face myself in that way. Especially if you're feeling afraid to face yourself, the lifetime access package is a great way to start. That's more of the starting point in the somatic realm. In that, um, because since I've been doing this for over 6 months now for the weekly classes anyway, they've evolved as I evolved as a practitioner. So that's why I'm saying like the lifetime access package is a good starting point because it started when I started doing the weekly free classes. And so I really was slow with the process of somatic work. If you jump in now, I'm not gonna lie, it's a different level. It's a different level, especially me being in this condo now. It's not, it may be intimidating for people that are brand new. It's not saying that you can't arrive, but it may be more intimidating compared to if you started with the lifetime package. And then the subs that word always trips me up, man. Then the subscription option. That is from the months of where I'm at now in the live classes. Like that's real time classes of getting those replays that cycle through. So that's also, it's like, get that if you want, but the more beginner route is definitely the lifetime package and building a practice for yourself. And I am available for one-on-one work and I have the healing containers. I'll put the stuff in the show notes and slide in my DMs. Like if you don't feel like the containers are maybe a yes yet, still slide in my DMs and we can work together one-on-one in a different way outside of the containers. But if the containers are for you, I've got a 4-month one and an 8-month one. I've always had the 8-month one. Y'all hear me talk about that a lot. But I decided to also create a 4-month one of like a stepping stone to the 8-month of like, because the 8-month is some fucking real shit. Like, it's not for newbies. It's not for the faint of heart. It's not for people that aren't, have built a foundation. So then the 4-month container builds that foundation so you can actually complete the 8-month container. So it's like all these stepping stones I have for you for liberation of the somatic classes, the subscription, lifetime packages, 4-month container, 8-month container, and if you're just called to work with me one-on-one and seeing how that goes, currently also available for that. Just slide in my DMs. We can have a conversation. I'll still have an application process for you. But yeah, we're fucking here, man. We made it. We fucking made it. And it's my duty to show up and serve. Like that. That's also last little bit. Because right now I do have a day job as an art therapist to finish my art therapy supervision hours to then be teaching other people and be in that different realm of existing. But it's been real easy and real like the fuckery of the mind coming in of like, well, we don't have to work as hard now. We don't have to in the way of let's just not show up how we were with creating light because of this. And it's like, no, 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 no. That's temporary. This job is temporary. We're here for a different goal that we've got and a different level of responsibility to maintain. Um, up-leveling our abilities to be a teacher and teaching therapists within integrity in that field because that mental health field needs some help. But that does not mean you let go of certain responsibilities with creating light or that you're not stepping up your game here still. Uh, that's also been the challenge of being in this condo. It's like, okay, well, you have this, so like let this fall, or like, it's like you gotta maintain it all and keep building up, creating light. Like you're asked to take it down and not to, you're asked to take it down to build it back up. And you are in that phase right now. So don't lose focus. Show the fuck up. Don't get complacent because you have this day job to then just be like, me, you know? Because that's not going to maintain your level of freedom that you work so hard to get. Because a day job is not freedom. Creating like what you've built, your baby over here, that is freedom. That could be a whole thing, a whole different episode as far as work goes and maintaining that and rebuilding things and lovely stuff of day jobs and building your dream. But that's it for today. What a journey. What a journey we went on. But I'm excited to be here and I'm excited for this phase of character development. I'm excited to learn how to maintain this because it's all new. But thank you for listening. And remember, when we see the light in ourselves, we create light in others.